Tom worked at Station Blue 9, a small human outpost near the edge of the solar system. It wasn't a very busy place. Most of the time, it was quiet. The crew worked in shifts, watched the sky, and fixed machines. Tom liked the peace. He didn't need loud cities or crowds. He enjoyed watching stars through the tall glass of the control tower. One morning, the silence broke. The sky alarm blinked red. A ship was falling fast, heading straight toward a nearby mountain. The radar showed no known signal. It wasn't human. It wasn't one of the friendly species either. It was something new. A known object crashing, said Mira, the base tech. Officer, impact expected in 4 minutes. Tom stood beside her, staring at the screen. The ship was small, smooth, and shaped like a silver arrow. It was moving fast. Get a rescue drone ready, Tom said. We need to check it before anyone else does. The ship crashed into the edge of the rocky field, kicking up dust and fire. The base shook slightly, but not enough to cause damage. Tom, Mira, and 2 others put on suits and took a rover. The crash site wasn't far, maybe 5 miles west. The land was flat, dry, and cold. When they reached the site, the ship sat in the dirt, half buried and smoking. Tom walked forward carefully. No signs of weapons, he said. It's damaged but mostly whole. Suddenly, the ship door opened with a hiss. Everyone stepped back. A figure walked out. She was tall, about Tom's height. Her skin was a rich teal blue, smooth and soft-looking, with long black hair tied in a tight braid. Her clothes were simple, silver and white. Her eyes glowed faintly, like light under deep water. She didn't speak. She stood still, watching them. Tom raised both hands. We're not here to hurt you, he said. Do you understand me? The woman tilted her head slightly, but gave no answer. I don't think she speaks English. Mira whispered. Tom took a step closer. Are you injured? He asked. Still, the woman said nothing. But then, slowly, she pointed at her ship, then at herself. She might need help fixing it. Mira guessed. Tom nodded. Let's take her to the base. Let the med team check her. We can scan her ship later. They offered her a ride. She didn't answer, but followed them into the rover. She sat straight, eyes always forward, like a soldier. Her face showed no emotion. Tom glanced at her once and wondered what she was thinking. Back at the base, the alien woman was given a clean room, water, and food. She didn't eat much, but she accepted a translator device after some effort. The med team scanned her. No injuries, only mild stress. She didn't speak until Tom visited later that evening. He entered her room alone. She stood by the window, staring at the night sky. My name is Tom, he said. Can you understand me now? She turned slowly. Yes, she said. Her voice was calm, quiet, but strong. Tom smiled. Good. We want to help you. I did not ask for help, she replied. Tom was surprised but kept his tone kind. You crashed. You could have been hurt. I landed where I chose, she said. I only lost power during descent. What's your name? Tom asked. There was a pause. Nira, she said. Nira, Tom repeated. It's nice to meet you. She didn't answer. Tom tried again. Do you come from far? Yes. Do you need help fixing your ship? I will fix it myself, she said. Tom nodded. All right, but if you need tools or parts, we have them, Nira said. Nothing more. Tom didn't want to push. He stood quietly for a moment, then said, I'll leave you to rest. If you need anything, press the green button near the door. He turned to go, but her voice stopped him. Why are you kind? She asked. Tom looked back. Why not? Nira's face stayed blank. On my world, kindness is used to trap others. That's not how we do things here, Tom said. At least not all of us. She looked away. Then I will see. Tom left, wondering who she really was. He knew she was more than just a traveler. She had a way of speaking that felt royal or highborn. But there were no signs of weapons or soldiers, just one lone woman with a damaged ship and guarded heart. Over the next few days, Nira explored the base silently. She didn't talk much, but she watched everything. She worked on her ship each day, refusing help. Still, Tom visited her sometimes. He didn't ask too many questions. Sometimes. They sat in silence. One afternoon, Tom saw her staring at a small earth flower growing in the hydroponic garden. It's called a lily, he said. Soft, but strong, grows even in dry soil. Nira didn't speak, but he noticed her touch the flower gently. Later that evening, he saw her again by her ship. Frustrated, a tool had broken, sparks flew, and she threw the broken part hard to the ground. She let out a sharp cry of anger. Tom stepped closer. Careful, he said with a light smile. You're beautiful when angry. Nira turned sharply. Her face showed shock, maybe even offense. But then her eyes met his, and something softened. She didn't reply. Instead, she turned back to her ship, her hands slower now. But her face had changed. Tom walked away with a quiet smile. For the first time, he had seen her heart open, even for just 1 second, and something had begun. The next morning, Tom was back in the control room. He sipped his warm tea and looked at the screen showing the outer fields. Nira was already outside, working near her ship. Every day, she checked the engine and tested the metal panels. She barely spoke to anyone, but her eyes noticed everything. She's still keeping distance, said Mira, sitting beside Tom. But I saw her talking to the flower garden yesterday. Tom smiled. Maybe she's getting used to the place. You really think she'll stay? Tom didn't answer right away. He wasn't sure, but something inside him hoped she would. Later that day, Nira came to the tool room alone. She searched the shelves, eyes moving quickly. Tom saw her through the glass window and walked in. Looking for something, he asked gently. She turned. A plasma spanner. Mine broke. Tom nodded and reached for a small box on the top shelf. We keep those up here. Let me grab it. He handed it to her. Their hands brushed for a second. She didn't move away, but she looked at him with quiet eyes. Thank you, she said. You're welcome. Tom replied. As she turned to leave, she paused. That word you said yesterday. Why did you say it? Tom blinked. Which one? Beautiful. When I was angry. He smiled slightly, because it was true. Nira's face showed a small frown. On my world, anger is weakness. Beauty is control. Here, showing feeling doesn't mean weakness. Tom said, and sometimes people look more real when they're not trying to hide. Nira didn't respond. She just held the box tighter and walked out. Tom watched her go. He didn't know if she was offended or just confused. Either way, he didn't regret what he said. Later that evening, something strange happened. Nira entered the storage room without knocking. Tom was inside, placing boxes on the shelves. He turned around and smiled. Need more tools? He asked. She stepped forward and placed a small silver object on the table. You dropped this from your pocket, she said. Near the garden. Tom looked down. It was a small photo card. His family, his sister and parents smiling on Earth. Oh. He said, thanks, I didn't notice. Nira didn't move. You keep their faces in your pocket? Tom nodded. Yeah, it reminds me why I do this work. To keep peace. To make sure places like this don't become battlefields. Nira looked at the photo for a moment longer. You miss them every day, Tom said. She said nothing and turned to leave. But just before reaching the door, she stopped again. Your words, she said softly. They are strange. Tom chuckled. I get that a lot. The next day, a small ceremony was held in the base hall. 2 new engineers had arrived. It was a simple welcome, with snacks and a short speech. Tom invited Nira to join. Just to meet people. She hesitated but came and sat quietly in the corner. While people talked and laughed, Tom brought her a drink. She took it and nodded but didn't speak much. Then, someone made a mistake. One of the new engineers, a young man named Ron, walked over to Nira. He tried to be friendly but spoke too fast and stood too close. Hey there, he said. Didn't know we had someone like you on base. What planet are you from? Nira frowned. I did not answer to strangers. Ron laughed. Easy. I was just trying to be nice. Tom noticed from across the room. Nira stood up and looked at Ron sharply. Step back, she said. Your voice is too close. Ron raised both hands, confused. Oh, I'm just talking. But Nira's body stiffened. Her eyes narrowed. Tom rushed over. Ron, give us a minute, he said calmly. Ron looked annoyed but walked away. Tom turned to Nira. Are you all right? She didn't answer. He gently guided her outside to the garden, away from the others. She took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking slightly. I didn't know, Tom said softly. I'm sorry. He didn't mean harm. He invaded my space, she said, voice tight. He smiled like he owned my time. Tom nodded. He didn't understand. Not like we do. Nira looked at him. Her eyes were deep, like the sky before. A storm. Do humans always speak so easily? She asked. Most do, Tom said. But not all listen. There was silence. Then Nira picked a small flower and held it up. Even this, she said. It grows without noise. But it's alive, Tom smiled, and strong. Nira lowered the flower and looked up. You're different, Tom. You don't push, he shrugged. I've seen enough in life to know silence sometimes says more. She looked at him again. You meant it? She asked. What? Your words about anger? Tom nodded. Yes, I saw your spirit. It was honest. Nira was quiet. Then her lips moved in a slow smile. Not wide, but real. Then maybe I don't need to hide it, she said. Tom didn't reply. He just stood beside her. The stars began to rise. The air turned cooler. Inside the base, music played softly, but out here, only the wind moved the leaves. Nira didn't speak more. But as she turned to walk back to her room, she left the flower in Tom's hand. He looked at it, then at her retreating figure. Something was changing, and it wasn't just the stars. The days at Station Blue 9 moved slowly, but something inside the base had started to change. Nira was no longer just a visitor. People still gave her space, but they had begun to accept her presence. She walked through the hallways with calm steps and sometimes stopped near the garden or control room. She didn't speak much, but she listened more now. Tom noticed every small change. She stood straighter. Her shoulders were more relaxed. Once, he even saw her helping a young technician lift a heavy part without being asked. The others were surprised. Tom wasn't. He had seen the kindness in her eyes. Even when she tried to hide it. One evening, the sky was clear, and the stars above the outpost were bright. Tom stood outside near the observation deck, looking up. The night wind touched his face. He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in the silence. You come here often, said a quiet voice behind him. Tom turned. It was Nira. She stood a few steps away, her silver suit shining under the moonlight. It's peaceful here, Tom said. No alarms, no noise. Just space. Nira looked up. Where I come from, we do not watch stars. We only study them. You don't just sit and look. She shook her head. There is no time for that. Tom nodded. Well, here, there is. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The stars above looked like small candles floating in a dark sea. Do you want to walk? Tom asked gently. Nira looked unsure, but then nodded. They walked slowly, side by side, across the outer field near the base. The soft sound of their boots pressed into the earth. The air was cool, and the sky was wide and quiet. Your world sounds strict, Tom said. It is. Emotions are kept inside. There is order. Feelings are distractions. But you still feel them, right? Nira looked at him. Yes, we just don't show them. Tom smiled. That must be hard. It becomes normal. After a while, you forget what it means to speak freely. Tom picked up a small stone from the ground and tossed it into the air. That's the opposite of here. People here speak too much sometimes. Nira gave a soft laugh. It was quick, but it was there. Tom noticed. That was a laugh. She looked at him. I did not mean to. I liked it, he said. They walked a little further. The ground sloped up slightly, leading to a small ridge where the whole base could be seen below. They stopped there and sat down on a flat rock. Tom pointed at a bright star above them. That's Earth's twin system. to stars close together. Some say it's a sign of balance. Nira followed his finger. On my planet, that star is a warning sign. It means something dangerous is near. Tom smiled. So the same star means to different things to two people. Yes, she said softly. He looked at her. Her face was calm, her hair moving gently with the wind. Why did you come here? Tom asked. Not just because your ship failed. I think you were running from something. Nira stayed quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I was sent to explore. But I chose a different path. I wanted to see what the stars felt like, not just what they measured. Tom nodded. And now I'm not sure I can return. He looked at her, then at the ground. Do you want to go back? I don't know, she said. The wind grew a little colder. Tom took off his outer jacket and placed it on the rock behind her. She noticed. You don't have to do that, I know. But I want to. She accepted the jacket without a word. Tom looked up again. When I first came here, I thought I'd be bored. Nothing exciting ever happens on this base. Then one day, a ship falls from the sky, and out walks someone who changes everything. Nira looked at him with curious eyes. I changed nothing. You changed me, Tom said. She seemed surprised. How? You made me listen more, watch more, think more. Nira was quiet. Then she asked, do all humans talk this way? No, Tom said. Just the ones who mean what they say. Nira turned her eyes back to the stars. I don't know how to speak like that. You don't have to, he said. Just being here is enough. The moment stretched between them. It was not heavy, not empty, just quiet, like the space between stars. Then Nira asked, why did you say that? That thing about anger? Tom smiled. I meant it. You were honest in that moment. It made you real. No one ever said something like that to me before. Maybe they should have, Tom said. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke again. They just sat on the rock, watching the stars. To people from different worlds, but sitting on the same ground, under the same sky. Finally, Nira stood. It's cold. I should go back. Tom stood too. I'll walk with you. As they walked back to the base, the wind carried the sound of night birds, small and distant. The base lights were shining ahead. When they reached the door, Nira turned. Thank you for the walk. She said, any time, Tom said. She looked at him for a moment, as if searching for words. Then went inside. Tom stood there for a while. Looking up again, something was changing. Not fast, not loud, but real, and that was enough. The sun rose slowly over Station Blue 9. The sky was calm, and the air cool. Birds flew in wide circles around the edge of the cliffs, and the wind moved softly through the grass outside the base. Inside, Tom sat in the control room, checking the daily system reports, fuel levels, climate balance, outer radar. Everything looked normal. He sipped his tea and watched the quiet morning unfold. Then the red light blinked. It was small at first, just a warning flash on the side panel. Tom leaned forward, pressing the screen. Unidentified object approaching, the system said. He tapped a few buttons and zoomed in. A large ship was heading toward their location. It wasn't fast, but its shape and size were clear. It was not human. Tom stood quickly and called Mira on them. Intercom, we've got something coming, large, not in our registry. Mira's voice answered fast. I'm on my way. By the time she arrived, the ship had gotten closer. Tom kept watching the screen. Look at the signal, Mira said. Do you recognize that pattern? Tom studied the blinking light in the corner. The signal was strong, made of repeating tones. No, he said, but maybe someone else does. He didn't say her name, but both he and Mira knew who he meant minutes later. Nira stood beside them in the control room. Her face changed the moment she saw the screen. That ship, she said, it belongs to my people. Tom looked at her. They're here for you, aren't they? Nira nodded slowly. Yes, they believe I've been taken. Taken? Mira asked. But we never. They don't know that, Nira said. They don't trust others. They act first. Ask later. Tom stood quiet for a moment, thinking. Can we send a message? Nira's eyes stayed on the ship's image. They won't. Listen, If they think I'm a prisoner, they will try to rescue me with force. Mira stepped back. We can't fight that kind of ship. We don't even have weapons. Tom looked at Nira. Is there a way to stop them? Nira didn't answer right away. Then she said, there's one way, but it means I have to lie to them. What kind of lie? Tom asked. I tell them I escaped, that I'm safe now and returning, that there's no need for war. Tom frowned. And are you really going back? Nira looked down. No, but they won't know that. Mira stepped forward. Wait, if they think you're going home, but you stay here, won't they find out? Not if we hide my signal. Nira said, not if you help me disappear. Tom looked at her face. She wasn't afraid, but he could see something else, a kind of sadness. You give up your home to protect us? He asked. She nodded. I would rather lose one place than see many fall. Tom walked closer. Then we'll help you. Whatever you need. Mira agreed. We'll make it work. That night, Nira and Tom worked together in the communication room. They set up a false signal using parts from her ship and the base system. The message was short and clear. This is Nira. I have escaped the humans. I'm safe. I will return when it's time. Do not attack. Repeat. Do not attack. They sent it out. Then they waited. For hours, no reply came. Tom and Nira sat quietly. On the bench near the garden, the stars above looked like small white dots, silent and distant. What if they don't believe it? Tom asked. Then they will come, Nira said, and we will have to run. Tom looked at her. You've given up a lot. I've gained something too, she said. What? She turned to him. Freedom. He didn't say anything, but he understood later. The radar beeped again. A new message had arrived. Nira opened it. We received your signal. Stand down, order confirmed. Do not reply again. Return when ordered. Tom read it with her. That means they're leaving. He said. Nira nodded. But now, I am alone. Tom shook his head. Not alone. Just somewhere new. They stood outside for a while, watching the enemy ship turn away on the radar. It moved slowly, then vanished from the screen. Back inside, Mira met them. They're gone, she said. We're safe? But she looked at Nira with new eyes, now not as a visitor, but as someone who had just saved their lives. Thank you, Mira said. Nira gave a small bow of her head. Later, Nira returned to her ship. Tom followed. She stood by the open hatch, looking at the inside. It's strange, she said. This ship was once everything to me. Tom looked around, and now it feels empty. You still have choices, Tom said. She nodded. I chose to stay. That is my path now. Tom looked at her with care. Then we'll build something here, together. Nira smiled softly. And maybe one day, I won't have to hide who I am. You don't have to hide from me, Tom said. Her eyes met his. I know, she replied. That night, the base was quiet again, but everything felt different. The stars above still shined. The wind still moved across the rocks, but now, two people walked forward into a new future. Not as enemies, not as strangers, but as something more. The next few days at Station Blue 9 were calm on the surface, but something had changed under it. The crew returned to normal work, but they now watched Nira differently. They no longer saw her as a stranger. She had protected them. She had made a choice that showed courage. Tom noticed the small changes first. One morning, Mira offered Nira a cup of fruit tea. Nira accepted it without a word. Another day, a young technician asked Nira about her ship's engine. She explained the system with clear steps. Even drawing a diagram, Nira was slowly becoming part of the base. But she also knew her time was borrowed. Tom found her one evening in the workshop, standing beside a metal crate. What are you building? He asked. Nira looked up. A power shield, to cover the base from deep scans. Tom walked over him. You think your people might come back? She nodded. They gave the order not to reply, but they don't trust easily. They might return too. Check. Tom crossed his arms. So this shield will hide us? Yes, if they scan the base from far. It will look empty, like no one is here. Tom thought for a moment. That's clever. I have learned from watching, Nira said, giving him a slight smile. Tom smiled back. And we've learned from you? They worked together through the evening. Nira connected small wires while Tom carried parts and adjusted settings. Their hands moved in rhythm, their thoughts focused. It wasn't loud work. It was steady and calm. Later, as the sun lowered behind the hills, they sat on the edge of the platform. The stars are quiet tonight, Tom said. They are watching, Nira replied. Tom looked at her. Do you miss your home? Sometimes. But the more I remember it, the more I know I don't belong there anymore. You belong here now. Nira turned her head slightly. With humans, with people who care, Tom said. They didn't speak for a while. The sound of the wind moved around them. Then Nira said, There's one more thing we must do. Tom looked at her with interest. What is it? We must erase my signal from your system. Tom blinked. Your signal? Yes, your system still has my ship's entry data. If another scan happens and they catch it, they'll know I'm still here. Can we erase it? We can change it. Make it look like I left weeks ago. Tom stood up. Let's do it. That night, they entered the data lab. The system was locked, but Tom had clearance. Together, they worked through lines of code. Nira pointed to the records that showed her ship's landing. Her name, her ID number. She deleted them one by one. Then she entered a new record. Her ship leaving 2 weeks ago, heading into deep space. This will hold? Tom asked. It should, she said, unless someone looks very closely. He watched her as she finished the last steps. There was something quiet about her face, like she was closing a chapter. When it was done, she stepped back. It's done, she said. Tom looked at the screen. So officially, you were never here. She gave a slow nod. Now the base is safe. Tom placed a hand on the table. And what about you? I will stay here, as someone with no name, no title, just a helper. Tom shook his head. You're more than that. She looked at him. Then what am I? He stepped closer. You're Nira, the person who changed everything. Her eyes met his. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then she looked down. On my world, feelings like this were not allowed. Here, we welcome them, Tom said. I don't know how to return the words you give, she said softly. You don't need words, Tom said. You're already speaking. He reached into his jacket and took out something small. It was the flower she had left him days ago. He had pressed it in a clear card. I kept it, he said. She touched the card gently. It stayed alive. She asked. Tom smiled. Just like you, that night. Nira slept in her room for the first time without locking the door. The next morning, the crew gathered for their regular meeting. Everyone stood in the main hall. The commander was away, so Mira led the talk. Nira stood quietly at the back, listening. Tom stood beside her. Will you ever tell them? She asked. Not yet, he said. One day, when it's safe. After the meeting, Mira called Tom aside. She's different now, she said. More open. Tom nodded. She trusts us. She trusts you. Mira said. Tom looked at her. That's enough for now. Outside, Nira stood near the garden. A small white flower had begun to bloom. She bent down and touched its petals. Soft, but strong. Just like the life she was building here. Not as a visitor, but as someone who had finally found her place. A quiet week passed at Station Blue 9. The shield system was complete. Nira's ship was covered under thick metal sheets, making it look like old equipment. The signal records were clean. Everything pointed to normal life. But inside Nira's heart, nothing felt normal. She walked the hallways each day, helped with the water system, checked the shield panels, and worked on energy lines with Tom. People spoke to her now with respect, even a little care. The crew no longer feared her, and she no longer avoided them. Yet, each time she looked at the sky, her mind returned to her home world. One evening, clouds gathered above the cliffs. A slow wind rolled across the field. The sky turned to dark, gray, and lightning flashed far in the distance. The storm moved in silence, like a sleeping giant. Nira stood outside, eyes on the clouds. Tom joined her. He held a small metal mug filled with warm tea. Storm's coming, he said. I can see that. She replied. Tom watched her face. You don't like storms? On my planet, storms were warning. They often came before battles. Tom nodded. Here, they just bring rain. Nira looked at him. Rain is better than fire. They both stood still, watching the sky. The wind picked up. Dust moved around their feet. The base lights began to flicker. Tom placed his tea on the bench. Let's get inside. Power might drop. But Nira didn't move. I want to stay a little longer. He stayed with her. Thunder rolled across the sky like a deep voice speaking from far away. The wind pulled at Nira's braid, but she didn't turn her head. After a moment, she said, I was once trained to fight, to serve. I studied in cold rooms with no windows. We were told not to feel, only to obey. Tom said nothing. He waited for her to continue. But after I left, and I saw the stars with my own eyes, I realized something. I was never meant to live behind rules. You were meant to be free. Tom said. Nira looked at him. Here. I feel like I can breathe. Tom took a step closer. Then breathe. You've earned it. Suddenly, a loud noise broke the silence. A power line near the outer field sparked. One of the base towers went dark. Tom touched the radio on his belt. Power grids hit. I'll check it. I'll come, Nira said. They ran across the field as the wind pushed harder. Rain began to fall in heavy drops. They reached the tower and found the panel shaking from the storm. Tom opened it and started checking the wires. Sparks flew, and Nira held the light steady. I see the damage, Tom said. Can you hold this? Nira nodded and reached for the backup fuse. Together, they fixed the line. The tower lights came back on. They stood under the rain, soaked but smiling. Well done, Tom said. Nira looked at him, water running down her face. You still think I'm beautiful when angry? Tom laughed, even more when soaked. She smiled a soft, clear smile that touched her eyes. They walked back to the base, inside. Mira handed them towels and hot drinks. You two always bring the storm back to calm, she said with a grin. Nira and Tom sat near the heater. Steam rose from their mugs, and their clothes slowly dried. After some time, Nira asked, Will I ever be seen as more than just a visitor? Tom looked at her. You already are. But what if someone from your world finds out who I really am? Tom placed his mug down. Then we stand by you. Nira lowered her eyes. Even if it brings trouble. Yes, he said. She touched the flower pin he had given her earlier that week. I didn't think kindness like this was real. It is. You've lived it. The rain outside grew softer. The storm passed, leaving the land fresh and quiet. That night, Nira returned to her room. She looked at the small items she now kept: tools, a worn book Mira gave her, the flower pin from Tom, and the pressed card with the white blossom inside. Each one held meaning. Each one spoke louder than words. She sat on her bed and looked at the walls. They were plain, but they didn't feel empty anymore. She wasn't running now. She wasn't hiding. She had chosen this life, and even if her past returned one day, she would face it with open eyes. Outside, Tom stood on the balcony. He looked toward the stars. He knew Nira had changed, not just herself, but the base, the people, even him. And deep in his heart, he also knew something else. They were stronger together. No matter what came next. The sun rose over Station Blue 9, casting golden light across the silver roofs. Birds sang from the tall rocks nearby. Nira stood quietly outside the main hall, watching the sky. Her mind was calm, but her heart felt something unusual, like a soft warning in the air. Inside, Tom worked on a report. He had not seen Nira that morning, but he was not worried. She had become part of the team now. She helped with repairs, gave good ideas, and even shared jokes with Mira and the others. Tom smiled as he remembered her laugh. Just then, a loud alarm buzzed from the control room. It was the radar system. Mira ran to the screen. A ship is coming. Fast. No ID tag. Tom stood up quickly. Where's Nira? Before anyone could answer, Nira entered the room. I saw it too, she said. That ship is from my planet. Everyone fell silent. Nira looked at the radar. The design is old, but I know that engine pattern. They found me. Tom moved beside her. We'll say you're one of us now. They won't believe you. Nira said, they've come to take me back. Mira spoke up. She's our crew now. We don't hand over our crew. Nira placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. Thank you. But they won't ask permission. They'll just take me. The ship entered the upper sky. Its lights blinked in a sharp red pattern. The crew watched it move like a hawk over prey. They're scanning the station. Nira said. Tom picked up the radio. Shield systems, ready. Don't activate unless they fire first. The station's outer field started to hum. Light waves shimmered around the buildings. Nira stood still, eyes on the sky. Then, a deep voice came through the base radio. This is Command Vessel Zarin 4. We request transfer of subject Nira of House Elrond. She must return to her duty. Do not interfere. Tom answered firmly. This is Station Blue 9. Nira is not a subject. She is free. She stays. There was a long silence. Then came a reply. That is not your choice. The ship lowered slowly. Landing far from the cliffs, dust rose high. A door opened from its side, and a single figure walked out tall, with silver armor and a dark cape. His face was cold. His steps were heavy. Nira turned to Tom. That is Captain Varn. He trained me when I was young. Tom asked, will he take you by force? He might, she said. Tom's jaw tightened. Then we stand with you. Nira looked around. Mira nodded. So did two others nearby. She felt her heart fill with something new. Not fear. Not duty. Belonging. Nira walked toward the landing field. Tom walked beside her. The wind carried soft dust across the ground. Captain Varn stopped 10 feet away. Nira, he said. You've changed. So have you, she replied. You broke your oath, he said. I chose my own path, she said. These humans are weak, he said. You are not like them. Nira took a breath. You're right. I'm not like them. But I have found something stronger here than any army. Varn raised an eyebrow. What? Choice, friendship, peace. You speak like a child. Tom stepped forward. No, she speaks like someone free. Varn looked at him with cold eyes. You think you can protect her, Tom said. We already have. Varn frowned. Then protect her from this. He raised a small device. A signal beam shot toward Nira. It was a pull signal meant to freeze her. But nothing happened. The station's new shield field blocked the signal. Varn stepped back, confused. You changed the frequency, he said. Nira gave a small smile. Yes, I helped build it. Varn turned to leave. You've made your choice. You are no longer of House Elrond. Do not return. I wasn't planning to, she replied. He walked back to his ship. The crew at the station watched from the tower. The ship lifted off. No more words came from it. No shots were fired. It rose into the sky, turned west, and disappeared into the clouds. The silence after was deep and warm. Tom turned to Nira. It's over. For now, she said. But even if they return, I won't run. They walked back slowly. The others came out to greet her. No one said much, but their eyes said everything. Later that night, the stars returned to the sky. Nira stood alone on the balcony. Tom joined her, holding 2 mugs. Tea? He asked. She took it with a smile. They looked up at the stars. You know, Tom said. You're still beautiful, even when angry. Nira laughed softly. And you're still too honest. They stood in silence, peaceful, the station quiet. Around them. No longer strangers. No longer afraid. Just 2 people under the same sky.